Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Year 2 information evening. I know it seems like a long time since we've had you in school, and yet again we're doing a virtual event, but we are much more available now on the gate, and there are much more opportunities for us to see you in the next half term. So hopefully that engagement will continue to grow. We have luckily had our reception parents in for the first time, so we're waiting for that to continue hopefully into our next half term and this half term. So you'll have opportunities to see the boys' work and what they've been up to. They have settled brilliantly into Year 2, and I'm going to leave the 3 teachers to talk to you a little bit about the logistics of the week and what the essence of Year 2 is. The chat function on this presentation is exactly the same as any of the other open evenings or mornings that we've had. You can post questions, and Mr. King is here and myself, and we will answer them. And if they are general questions that are relevant for everybody, we will ask them at the end, but we will also message you in the chat function. Can you try to not leave that till right at the last minute, because sometimes those questions get missed off. If you do have further questions that are more personal to you, please do make sure that you email your appropriate teacher. So I'm going to hand over now to Miss Mead, Miss Parks and Mrs. Allen.
Good evening and welcome to the Year 2 Parent Information Evening. We'd like to introduce ourselves. I'm Mrs. Allen and I'm going to be the form tutor for Class 2RA. As well as myself, there will be Miss Mead, who will be teaching the class on a Friday. And then in 2FP, we have Miss Park. We are very lucky that we are supported by 2 teaching assistants, where we have Mrs. Stevens and Mrs. Campbell. Just very much like it has been for the boys in reception and Year 1, they will continue to have specialist staff for subjects PE and games, music and choir, and also French. And as you can see on the screen, their names are up there. Now in Year 2, we like to try and encourage the boys to build on what they have learned from reception in Year 1 and become independent learners, thinking about when they are completing an activity, choosing the resources as and when they need to. They should also think about taking ownership of their learning, trying to seek challenge in all areas and doing the best they can to show that they are trying to seek that challenge in all areas of the curriculum.
Okay, so I just want to touch upon the 3 R's and of our school. So these are the 3 values that we follow. It's respect, responsibility and resilience. And we would really like you to be reinforcing this vocabulary at home with your sons and just sending the message through that these are the 3 values that they need to uphold at all times. And it's something they could be practicing at home also. So it's really important, especially as they're now in Year 2, that they need to take more ownership over their behaviour and have these 3 R's in everything that they do. So we're going to talk to you about the topics that we're doing this year. We've got fantastic topics. The first one being Incredible Journeys, where we're looking at more specifically at the continent of Africa and exploring that from a geography point of view. And we're also going to look at the Great Fire of London, which is our history topic, which is next term. And in the spring, we're spending the whole of spring looking at To Infinity and Beyond, which is more of a space-based topic. And then we finish the year off with a topic called Turrets and Tales, which is all about castles. And we have lots of fun trips, hopefully planned for the boys, including going to the Wetlands Centre, which will have a science focus. We've got Castles Day in the summer and Tower of London. Fingers crossed all goes well and we can attend the Tower of London and hopefully the Science Museum. So lots of fun activities. And what's really nice is the boys last year saw our Castles Day and they were really excited and couldn't wait to be a part of it. So they're really looking forward to it. Okay, so English this year. So we all know English takes place across the whole curriculum. There are many opportunities for the boys to write. They write within their topic, humanities and their science lessons, as well as English, and also in phonics. So focusing on the basic structures of the sentence to start with, and then we build upon that by adding other elements such as fronted adverbials, similes, adjectives. Some of these the boys are already familiar with, but we're adding more to their skills. And reading, we're trying to push more comprehension this year, and not only focus on decoding, but really look at the language structures and why the author uses certain words and exploring the meaning of words. So we want to go beyond decoding and actually look at each element of what they're reading. And that's a big focus for us, teaching them how to write their answers in full sentences when they are answering comprehension questions. Maths, so you may already know this from year one, we focus on maths mastery. And one of the questions that gets asked a lot is, can my child move on to maybe another times tables? What we like to do is actually make sure they fully have the conceptual understanding within a concept before moving them on. So this might be spending more time looking at the 2, 5 and 10 times tables, but really understanding that they can use this within all concepts and draw their knowledge of other concepts in different ways. So we also introduce bar model. They may have touched on this in year one also. So there are lots of written methods that we like to spend our time really exploring. So if you find on Timetable Rockstars that we're doing 2, 5 and 10s, that's because we really need to build that fluency and make sure that they have that full conceptual understanding.
Okay, so in year 2, we will be giving handwriting a very big push. This is something that we would love your support with at home. We'll be doing lots of it throughout the week at school, and we are following a new scheme called Letterjoin, which you can see on the screen now. You will have access to this, so your son will be able to go online and join in with the activities on there. They absolutely love it so far. The last few days, they've really been engaged with Letterjoin. They've had little booklets which they've loved. They've been really enjoying completing those. In year 1, they wouldn't have done the lead-ins and lead-outs. So in year 2, we will be pushing that. As you can see with the letters on the screen, the letter you lead in and you lead out. We'll be really pushing that in year 2. So if you could help with that at home, that would be incredible. Already we can see that the boys are picking it up, and so I'm sure that by the end of the term, next term, and by the end of the year, you will see some beautiful handwriting. You'll be very impressed. The boys are really proud of themselves already, and that's one of the nicest things I think we can gain from handwriting, is how proud they are of their work and their books looking beautiful. You will already be familiar with Seesaw, which we will continue to use in year 2 across the curriculum, but we will have Letterjoin on Seesaw for you too. We'll send home the codes, and I'm sure the boys will mention it.
Okay, now these will be going out later on this week, but these are going to be the curriculum overviews. This just gives a summary every term as to what the children will be covering in each subject area. There is an example of how this will look on the screen here, and this just gives us gives the parents and the church boys themselves ideas of what we will, the topics of ideas of what we will be covering in the class. As we've mentioned before, for this first half term, it's looking at the continent of Africa as part of Incredible Journeys, and next half term it will be about the Great Fire of London. And as I said before, all subject areas are there, including music, games as well, and French.
Okay, and what you can see now on the screen is our is also connected to our curriculum overviews. It's the last page, and it will be going out this week, so you will receive that. It has lots of different ideas for you to do activities with your child at home. Lots of parents like to reinforce what we're learning at school, so we've provided you with information here that you can look at and support your child with. Lots of different ideas. We always tell the children to mention it to you to look at your curriculum overviews if you'd like something to do. There's always maybe some time on the weekend that you'd like to fill. And the boys, again, getting excited. It's so lovely seeing them come into school the following week saying, look what I've done with mummy and daddy, or a carer, a nanny, grandpa. So there's lots of ideas here for you to do with your children.
Okay, so we just want to talk about homework now. So like in year 1, homework will continue to be set on Seesaw, and it will go out every Tuesday and will be due in the following Monday. And this will include some elements of spelling, handwriting, and maths and literacy tasks based on what we've been learning that week. And we may alternate between the maths and literacy just to give the children time to focus on other things like reading every day, which is something that should be a main focus. So please also continue to support your child with times tables, and aim to do a little bit of times tables every day using the Times Table Rockstars app, and Mathletics as well. You can find their login codes at the back of their reading records, and please let us know if you need any support with how to use Mathletics. We will set them some activities on Mathletics, so could you encourage them to just stick to those activities and not go beyond them, because we like to set them as and when we've taught those sub units. So please could they just stick to what has been set for them. Yep, so reading, just like I mentioned, reading books needs to be brought in every day, and your son is free to change his book as and when needed. So we also have more books for our free readers. So boys who previously may have moved on from a book band, we have further books to support them, so more challenging texts. So they are still free readers, but essentially now we have something more structured so we can keep an eye on their progress. So you may notice that they come home with book bands, and previously they may have picked up chapter books from their reading area. So these book bands, they're still free readers essentially, but it's just a more structured text so we can keep an eye on them. So please read with your son every day, as I'm sure you already do, and do ask them comprehension questions, because this is key. So even though they may be fluent when reading the text, it's whether or not they understand what they are reading. So we really want to hone in on those skills. So please do question them and encourage them to look at the vocabulary. Can they find adjectives? Can they find nouns and verbs? And really go into detail with each text. Let them take their time, and then when they are ready, they can change their book whenever they want to. If they do want to, so say if they may be in a turquoise book band, if they wanted to pick a book that might be a band lower than that, they are free to do so, as long as they do have a turquoise book within their reading bag. We want to encourage them to enjoy reading, so we don't want to restrict them on a text that they're choosing. So if they do find a text in a lower band which they're really interested in, we're still happy for them to read that in addition to their book band. So just be aware of that in case you see a book that you think might be a little bit lower. It's also about enjoying reading and letting the children have ownership over the books they're choosing.
Now, things that will be a little bit different this year from how things have been for them in reception year 1. The boys will have the option to take part in extra music lessons that will take part within the school day. This is something that will be sent out at some point, and parents can choose to sign their son up for learning a particular instrument. We will also be giving the boys responsibility to be playground pals. So this will be checking to see that people are behaving sensibly at playtime and playing sensibly, being there for somebody who might be feeling a little bit left out, but overall just being a playground buddy, someone for the other boys to go to if they're not sure about something. With lunchtime as well, it will be encouraging the boys to continue to have healthy choices. They will have had certain days in reception in year 1 where they might have had the off day or the treats day, as it's sometimes called, but we feel now, encouraging that message that we were talking about earlier with Year 2, to give them that sense of independence and responsibility. It's up to them now to have a think about what they would like to choose at lunchtime. So we will still encourage them to make healthy choices, thinking about if they have had pasta 4 times already that week as well for their lunch, and thinking about encouraging fruit as well to choose for their dessert. So it's just, again, building on that ownership and learning, but again, it will be their choice for lunchtime.
Okay, uniform. So this may be a slide that I'm sure lots of you might like to screenshot or take a picture of. So on the board you can see, or on your screens you can see each day what the boys will be expected to wear. So on a Monday they will have games, so we would expect them to come into school in their games kit, which is their green shirt, football socks and boots. Tuesday is their PE kit, which is their white shorts and polo, including white trainers. Wednesday school uniform and Thursday school uniform. Friday again is PE kit, so the white shorts and polo, including the white trainers. There'll be no swimming this year. Please, please, please ensure that all uniform is named. I think already we've had to run around sort of trying to get the boys' clothing back to the right person. So please, please, could you name that for them, or support them in helping you do so. Velcro, if they could have Velcro shoes, it would be helpful. And we don't expect the boys to wear a blazer when they're in their games or PE kit, so you don't need to bring that on that day. If for any reason we would like them to have their blazer, we will of course let you know, but there is no blazer expected with their PE and games kit.
Okay, so just on the screen now are our contact details. If you have any immediate questions, obviously the first people to contact are ourselves as class teachers. Obviously we will try to pick these up before or after school. During the school day can be slightly tricky because we are obviously teaching the boys and they are our main priority. So if there is anything that's particularly urgent, such as a going home message or a sudden change to an end of day pickup, then it's probably best to contact the school office directly and they will pass that message on to us just in case we don't pick it up. I will be available, Mrs. Allen, from Monday to Thursday. Miss Mead is with the class on a Friday. But if there is any concerns, I would say probably it's best to copy in both of us just so the message doesn't get missed, particularly from a Thursday to a Friday. And we can then obviously see any messages that cross over from those days. And Miss Parks is on the screen as well. Thank you for listening. As Ms. Chong said earlier, if there are any questions, please let us know now.
So there are a couple of questions actually, and they're both football related. So one of them is, are boys expected to wear their football boots all of Monday? And the second one is, can they be helped with laces on football boots? Our boots are not Velcro. So no, we don't expect them to wear football boots on Monday. And yes, we will help them with their laces. It's actually really good to get them into that habit anyway. And of course, we will be on hand to help them with their laces for sure. The next question is around swimming, which I know came in from the class reps this morning, and I was keen to answer that this evening in front of everybody, if that was okay. And it says, keen to understand why the Year 2 girls get swimming but not the boys. Shame as they will never have had time in the pool at school. We totally understand that. We have changed the swimming provision to be a solid, intense year of Year 1 so that they reach all the swimming benchmarks that they're supposed to meet with the British Swimming Association. So we are doing a much more intense offering for the Year 1, and I know that means that your boys obviously missed out last year. What we have been trying to do, and Mr. Merton has not given up, is try to find a pool that will give us a club for Year 2, so that anybody that has missed out on that swimming will be able to do that through the club. Just to say that the girls I think are only doing for 1 term, and actually that is almost then disrupts. I felt, if I'm honest, and it was my decision at the end of the day, I felt that 1 term of disrupted swimming every other week or every time there'd be 1 week missing was actually not beneficial. So we are still trying to look for that swim club. So I do understand that it is different to the girls, but we are still putting out some feelers in terms of, funnily enough, the swimming pools have not quite got themselves back to pre-COVID yet. So we are still hoping that there will be space for us at Hurst Pool to do that with the year twos. We have got another question. When are the reading books due to come home? We've had nothing so far this week, and how much should they be reading every day? So I'll let Miss Parks or Mrs. Allen or Miss Mead say when they are coming home. I'm much more less likely to know that when they're actually coming home this week.
Yep. So we have been assessing the boys because we know they've had a long break over the summer. Just trying to understand where they are with their reading right now. So by Friday, they all should have a book to take home. And we would also like to say, when you read with them, we're still trying to explore where they are. So if you could write notes in their reading records, let us know how they got on with that book. That will really help us moving forward. And reading expectation is 10 minutes every day. So please do, and really spend the time with those comprehension as well within that time. So 10 minutes every day and books on Friday.
There's a couple of questions that I'm going to pass out to you too as well. Maybe you could come, maybe the class rep could come back with this. With regard to the reading, one of the things that came back on our pupil survey last year was that, and they could be making it up, the boys, but it came back that they weren't read to very much. And so we've made a commitment at school, certainly in terms of extending our reading time. Mr. King's worked really hard for reception to year 6, have now got pockets of time with form teachers that are whole book reading and, you know, whole class reading. But actually, if you could just continue to do that at home, I know there's a temptation that once they get quite good at reading, there's a temptation to let them read more than actually you read to them. You can model the language brilliantly, and it's really vital that they hear you modeling the language, and understanding that intonation and the pausing is really important, as Miss Parks said. One of the questions I would like to put out to the year 2s, and as I say, if it could come back in rather than in the chat, if it could come back in via the class reps, that would be amazing. I spoke to a couple of parents in the summer holidays about the kind of wanting to understand what the 7+, 11+, process, 13+ process was all about. I may well have spoken to just a couple of parents who are the only parents that did want to know, but actually there may be a wider group of you that would like to understand the process that from here now through to 11. And if that is the case, and there's enough of you that would like to do that, please can you come back through your class reps, and maybe if you could email me, because I'm very happy to put an evening on where we sit and chat through what the 7, 11, 13 process is all about. So I know it's early days, but very happy to have those conversations should you wish. Now, any possibility to do swimming later in the year? Possibly, and we will look at that. It's really difficult with swimming because some parents are very passionate about it and some less so. One of my concerns with Key Stage 1 swimming is that some children have had swimming lessons since they were 6 months, and some are, you know, doing lengths and doing very well in the pool. Others need water support and need help right the way through. So actually, at year 2 to be doing swimming lessons, you end up with a very big differentiated group, which is why we were hoping to try and do it through a club. But there could well be possibility. Well, that's what we're hoping for, even if it is a club, that we can be, they can be available to do it. What I've talked to Mr. Merton about is maybe bringing it into the school day, the end of the school day, so that we can get to a pool early before the other schools get there, so that we have got that slot, that earlier slot. So he has definitely put the feelers around. Anybody has a private pool in their garden wants to do some offering out of the swimming pool, we'd be happy to take you up on it. I think that could be our last question. If there is anything else, I'd love you to answer the question about the 711 plus, please. If that is relevant to any of you and you'd like to hear that, I'm really happy to do that. If there is anything else, please do feel free to email the teachers. They are pretty amazing at getting back to you. The boys are super excited about their year ahead. They've settled brilliantly, as I say. I walked around the classrooms today and they're all fully engaged. All seem to be very well in their routine already, and I promise we will help them with their football boots. Have a nice rest of the evening, and thank you very much for attending.